Okay, so he went to the makery. This is Jupiter by Holst. He wrote a whole suite for the planets. He wrote a song, like a piece of music for each planet except for Earth, because, I don't know, he decided there was enough music for Earth. And he did not write one for Pluto because they did not know Pluto existed yet. But also Pluto is not a planet again, so it worked out. We won't listen to the entire thing, I'll just do enough to kind of get through. For the instruments, you can put like, it is a full orchestra, which includes like woodwind, brass, string, percussion. Like, you don't have to name like every single instrument you put on stage. I won't take points off if you do name every single instrument, but I know that's time consuming. So, the first couple questions should be pretty short. Question 3 should take a little bit more time here. And when we do listening journals, if you need me to pause or go back and hear it again, that's fine. Or if you just kind of jot down notes as you're listening to it, and then like you go back and kind of write the full paragraphs, that's okay too. But like take the time that you need to complete it. Like if you're having trouble getting it done in class and you need more time to like write it out, I can extend the due date until like if I give it to you on Monday, then it can be due on Friday, so you have more time to like write some more thoughtful answers. Like, that's fine with me. But my goal was to have you do it in class so that it's not as much work to do outside of class with all the other stuff you got going on. But for the third question, this is where it should get a little more wordy. And I don't want you just to write words to fill up space or feel like you have to fill sentences, because if it gets to like, the first harmony was consonant, and then it was dissonant, and then we went back to consonant, and then you like keep going like that for like 10 sentences, like that's unnecessary. Like, I don't want you to just write to feel like you have to fill up space. If I've been saying like add more detail, like I want you to think a little more critically about the music that you hear, instead of just like, it is nice, it was major, I think, the instruments played loud and then soft, and then sometimes loud and soft again. Like, that's a good start, but like let's like my idea of like doing these listening journals is that so when you go out into the world as a fully functional adult someday, that you like listen to the music and you can say intelligent, like have an intelligent conversation with someone and say like, yeah, I can tell like the consonant harmonies here really invoke this feeling of hope. And like, okay, so for example, speaking specifically, because we're talking about Holst Jupiter, does anybody know anything about this piece of music other than it's based off the planet Jupiter? Ooh. Cool. So all the planets are named after the Roman gods. So Jupiter is the bringer of jollity. So how do you think Holst is writing this piece of music? What do you think he's done to this piece of music to invoke those feelings of jollity?
To make it more like upbeat.
Yeah, his tempos are really fast. What about like the instruments, like the section that we heard? So let's go back a little bit and kind of listen. So melodically, like, now when I say melodic contour, what does that mean? So literally the notes going up and down. Like that's contour is shape. So if you think of makeup contour, which I know Josh is really into that right now, but like contouring is shaping. So like when we use melodic contour, it's the shape of the melody. Like when you look at the notes on your page, you all play a wind instrument. So you look at the notes on your page, the low notes are lower and the high notes are higher. For the most part, our notes are not just one line. Like especially flute players, like they go up and they go down and they go up and they go down, and sometimes they stay the same. Josh is a little more, because Josh plays the bass line, so that's a little more stagnant. But in general, like when you hear the melody, so like a happy melody, it's faster. We're usually like excited and doing a lot of things. Also, it's like it's going up and down and like, and it's generally, I feel like it's higher. Also, you're going to hear more consonant sounding harmonies because a happier song invokes much more consonant sounding, like instead of that's very dissonant. Okay, so going back to this question on number 3, so yeah, so I like, oh, that's wrong. Okay, so what interesting techniques, think about form, harmonies, melodic contour, are the elements we've discussed. So that question is kind of tricky to answer just like in order. Like that's a question that like maybe take some notes, like jot down some like, okay, so we start with this really fast, exciting thing, and then it changes in the middle, and then we go back to that fast, exciting thing happening, and so on and so forth. But like he starts like,
We'll need help with those. Just to get them put away, get sure you have to do this.
Miss Holmes,
yeah,
want me to close this?
go for it. So yeah, like each section, like it comes in with like the really light, like all the, yeah. That's choir. That goes up to Helms. other helms. That's fine. Yeah. Just put it in here. We'll get it to her. Or she'll come get it. Either one. She does use that every day, so.
There's still like a shack.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, it starts, so like, just kind of go through the piece and tell me some details about like, it starts with a very fast, light melody, using a lot of consonant harmonies. Each instrument section kind of comes in and is kind of doing their own thing. So if we go back in here, so like starts with the strings, I guess. I was wrong on that one. So then you hear the brass come in with that different melody. Okay, so if you like, that's kind of where taking notes, like little ideas, is going to be really helpful to you in that question, so that you don't have to try to remember the whole thing. Especially like, I've listened to that song a million times, and I legit thought it was the woodwinds that came in at the beginning, not the strings. And I listened to it again, and I was like, oh yeah, that's the strings. Of course it is. This can also be a little more, just general ideas. So then we get to this middle section, which is the chorale, which I think all of us have played at some point. And even though it's slow, is it still major?
Wait, we played this in like the seventh grade?
Yeah. So it's slower, but it's still in major. It's still consonant harmonies. It's still it's like a more thoughtful jolly, but it's still in the spirit of like happiness, jolliness. Not to give away the ending, but the end of the piece is the same as the beginning. It's not ABA form, but like a very loose definition of the form. I would say ABA, but like it starts the like And then we do the chorale section, which is actually also like a very famous song in England, like that they sing at like ceremonies and things. But we stole it, or Holst stole it for Jupiter. He's also British. Holst is a British composer. Thank you for putting the wall back. I really appreciate it.
What?
I said thank you. You guys did a good job today. So then this next question 4. Again, it can take a lot of sentences or it can take less sentences. So like the, you know,
We got the pose. We like the pose.
okay. So, couple sentences like this. So like the general feeling of this piece is pure joy. Uplifting harmonies and melodies help to keep the spirits high. And again, like if you feel like you've already said like, well, I said a lot about consonant harmonies and major key and whatever, like in the opening section, then like don't feel like you have to repeat yourself, because that's also a trap that we can fall into when we're trying to write like higher level things, is that we just like, the harmonies are consonant, and then the next question, and these consonant harmonies are everywhere, and then the next question, the harmonies that are consonant, you know, you just like, you're saying the same things, just in a different order. So if you feel like you're starting to repeat yourself, like take a step back and try to find something else you can like potentially touch on or talk about or whatever. So yeah, like for me, when I listen to this piece, I see a picture of like when my children, it's like a summer day and my children get to like run freely in our backyard without any, like they don't care about the weather. They don't care about what we're gonna cook for lunch. They don't care about like, they're not paying bills. Like they're not worried about like assignments that are due or classes to plan or concerts to, like they're just like truly like watch a child run through a park. And they are like truly living in the moment and like living for the day. It's just like watching children play. It's just like, it's like the most magical thing. But like that's what I see. Like this, especially the beginning section of that piece where it's just like, it's really fast, it's high paced, it's going everywhere. It's just like pure happiness is like what Holst is going for here. I won't share your listening journals. Like I'm not gonna like display them in front of the class. I may ask to point out like, hey, like if you had a particularly good one, I may ask if I can share it. But in general, like I'm not gonna share answers. So like whatever you want to tell me in the listening journal, that's yours and yours alone. Like I don't try to share answers with people. Yeah, it's broken. So good luck. Okay, background information. Again, that's kind of like the background information for me would be like he wrote it for each of the planets that currently exist. Jupiter is the god of jollity, the Roman god. So he wanted to name it after, he wanted to create a piece of music that embodied the spirit and the jolliness of the person, the planet is named after. And you can you can write as much as you want. You could write like 5 pages on Jupiter, or you could write like a couple sentences. Dynamic changes, and then I may just take that question out because that just is dumb. Tempo changes. We're gonna move those 2 questions to kind of fits in with this question 3 of like the interesting techniques. So like, does he change tempos? Does he change dynamics? And the answer is always yes. Like I don't choose listening journals that are like, and they only played one dynamic the entire time. Like I try to give you like higher level music. So yeah, question 7, 8, 9 really are going to that's just part of question 3. What story is a piece of music telling you? That's, I kind of answered that in question, 4. So yeah, so that brings us to, and the last question, that's purely opinion. I am curious, like, if you hate that piece of music, I don't know anyone who could possibly hate Jupiter, because that sounds like a psychopath to me, and I don't want to meet that person. But if you're like, ugh, this piece of music grinds my gears, I don't like it, I don't want to listen to it, I don't want to play it, that's fine. Then tell me why you don't like it, but use intelligent language. Don't just like, I like it because it's pretty. Like, what about it? Like, I love like listening to that. Like every time I just like, it lifts my spirits, whatever I'm feeling. If I'm happy, it just makes me happier. If I'm not having a great day, it just like, I get to the like ba 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 da 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 da. That just like makes me feel like I can take on the world. Like the way the melodic line, the brass like pouring their hearts into their performance, it just like is super exciting. Every ensemble who I've seen perform that does such a good job, just like doing, all of the emotion they possibly can.
Do you think we'll be able to play like the full thing instead of just like a cut part of it?
Maybe if I can find a good arrangement of it.
Yeah, because we only like got to play like.
We played Mars.
We only got to play the end part.
Right. The chorale section.
Yeah.
So I highly recommend on your own time. This is not a homework assignment. This is just a general suggestion. Go listen to Jupiter. We might do it as a listening journal someday. Maybe for the test. Maybe I can do that. But yeah, so I'm going to take out question 3, 7, 8, whatever those questions were, and kind of just fit that, because looking at it, like, it is a little redundant. So like question 3 is going to be like harmonies, melodies, melodic contour. Is it homophonic? Is it polyphonic? So polyphonic is one, or like the 2, essentially like melody, bass line. Monophonic is the 1 melody line. Monophonic is taps. Taps is monophonic. Polyphonic would be like, like any of the pip band tunes that we do, those are pretty monophonic. Homophonic is Jupiter. Jupiter is very homophonic. It has many different melodic lines and parts interweaving and intertwining. Dynamic, like, how does he use the dynamics to like draw you in? Like when it's loud and soft. What if Jupiter was all just loud?
No, thank you.
That would be terrifying. That scares me. Or yeah, like how does the going from like that first really big fast section into that chorale section, how does that change the mood of the piece? And when he really slows it down and they're like all playing I don't think it's unison, but it's very close. Yeah. It's much more it's much more homophonic. Yeah. And then we go back. So yeah, the chorale section is very homophonic, where it's got like, it's a chorale, like when we play Lip Benders number 10. And then it goes back to the very polyphonic, like themes and sections. Okay, so to the study guide. Okay. There will be a section on the test. I want to make sure I get through all of these really quickly. There's a section on the test that is you have to like circle, it's going to list instruments and you circle whether it's woodwind, brass, string, or percussion. So think of woodwind, brass, string, percussion. What is a euphonium? Yes, it's a baritone. Euphonium and baritone. They're not exactly the same. One is conical, one is cylindrical. And that's a whole other conversation about diving into instruments. But baritones are typically played in Europe, and euphoniums are typically played in America. How does each instrument family make a sound? So, like, how does a woodwind instrument make a sound? Blow air into it. What has to exist for sound to happen? Yeah, so the reed on a reeded instrument, the reed vibrates with the mouthpiece, or on itself if it's a double reed, and that goes through the instrument and makes a sound. On a flute, it vibrates like on the like tone hole there. Brass instrument, you buzz your lips. So the big difference between woodwind and brass is woodwind you blow, brass you buzz. Percussion, you have to hit or strike something with your hands or a mallet or a stick. String, the strings have to vibrate. You either pluck, strum, or bow the strings to make it vibrate. There's John Cage, Beethoven, Aaron Copland. Anybody remember who Aaron Copland is? He wrote a piece we just played. Aaron Copland is an American composer. He wrote Fanfare for the Common Man, and he wrote the original, and he wrote, oh my gosh, I just lost it. It was a ballet, but he wrote a ballet. So just like do some very light Googling on like Beethoven, John Cage. John Cage we talked a lot about in the beginning. Beethoven, John Cage, Aaron Copland. How many beats are in how do you know how many beats are in a measure when looking at music?
The key thing.
The top number of the time signature. Yeah. What does enharmonics mean? Enharmonics is the same note, but it has two different names. So like C natural and B sharp are enharmonics because that's this note. So like C natural, but it's also B sharp. Same note, two names. What is the order of flats and sharps in a key signature? We did this a while ago. Okay, flats, bead, greatest common factor, and then the order of sharps, it's just backwards. Bead, greatest common factor. To tell a flat key, you go to the second to last flat, and that's the key signature. To tell a sharp key, you go to the last sharp and go up a half step, and that's the key signature. Or if you know, like, the key of F has one flat, the key of B flat has two, the key of E flat has three, the key of A flat has four, the key of D flat has five, key of G flat has six, key of C flat has 7.
So how do you the flat again?
So you go to the second to last flat because of the order. B, E, A, D, G, C, F. So anytime you write a key signature, if you want your key signature to have 6 flats, it has to go B, E, A, D, G, C in that order. And the same with sharps. It has to go F, C, G, D, A, E, B. How do you write a major triad? First note, third note, and fifth note in the scale is a major triad. Okay, what machine played recorded music that most closely resembles the human ear?
Man, I forgot his name.
Victrola.
He made the machine.
What is multi-track recording? No. So multi-track recording basically is like taking each instrument and putting it in as a separate track and recording it all at the same time. So like you have a microphone on your voice, you have a microphone on the saxophone, you have a microphone on the drums, you have a microphone on the guitar. Taking multiple different lines and putting it all into one piece. Instead of like the early recordings, they would record like a whole jazz band on one microphone at one time. But multi-track, you have a lot more precision and control of like how loud each instrument is going to be. How do they first add the voices to films?
A separate thing playing.
Yes. Yeah. Like they would play the movie and then they would play like the recording of the voices and like hit play at the same time and hope it all lines up.
No, that is not some.
Which is crazy. What is a telharmonium?
Is the telharmonium the one like? Was it made before or after that guy?
Yeah, so it was like the first electronic synthesizer piano machine.
Okay.
Electronic instrument, really. Sine wave and square wave. I would describe those as a like perfectly pure sounding tone that is created by a computer. Why have acoustic instruments stood the test of time? We kind of talked about that last week. That's kind of a more opinion question. And then the difference between sine wave and square wave. Sine wave is round, square wave looks like a square. And we talked about melodic contour earlier. What is the axis chord progression? Do you remember? I might need to look mine up. Okay, the axis chord progression, that's major 1, major 5, minor 6, major 4. Yep. Okay, that's all the questions on the study guide. And you can use that on the test. Okay, we have like 4 minutes. Any questions?
You think I could play some picture proof thing I got?
And we have 4 minutes, so
That's all I got.
yeah.